Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button right down below, right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we're going along if you're enjoying the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, 47 Asexual Stories. It's called Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. And yes, indeed, it is in fact a huge book with real life asexual stories. I'm also the founder of asexualist.com and the founder of Asexualized Academy. Happy Asexual Awareness Week. This is my 4th video in the series. I am a bit late, so I do apologize for that. But I was talking to a fellow asexual and I was at my parents for quite a long time yesterday, so hence why I'm doing it after midnight. So I do apologize for that. But I've got a really good episode for you, so I didn't want you to miss it. And yeah, this is amazing. It's all about signs you might be asexual. So some people don't actually know whether they're asexual or not. They get very confused about it. They've just come across the term and they're like, how do I actually know if I am asexual or not? And it can be very, very confusing for some people. So in this video, I want to talk to you about some of the signs you might be asexual. And if you tend to resonate and relate to many of them, it's highly probable you are asexual. So if you were at school, or if you're still at school, because obviously I don't know what age you are at the moment, when you were at school, or if you are still at school, you might hear people like talk about having sex, talk about getting off with people, talk about, you know, like jumping someone's bones. Hi, Luke. Nice to see you. Lots of love. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate that. So you might have someone who's not sure whether they're asexual or not. So this is really good as well for you to listen to. So yeah, so when you're at school, you'll often find that either if you were at school, or if you're still at school, there'll be people talking about sex or relationships in ways in which you won't be able to relate to them. So, for example, I've always loved kissing and romance. And so when I looked at the guys at school, I was always into like the romance, the holding hands, all that type of thing. But then when they would talk about, you know, like getting to different bases and stuff like that, because I've never really been into making out as such. I'm into like kissing, but not really all the fumbly, breasty, stuffy type stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of like when they used to talk about first base, second base, third base, fourth base, I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't really understand all that stuff. To me, like, if I want to kiss, I'll just kiss. You know what I mean? But they used to talk about bases as in a lead up to sex. And obviously, if I'm not interested in sex, then I'm thinking, what are all these bases? Do you know what I mean? Either you're kissing it and you're just enjoying each other's company and might like each other doing different stuff and more stuff or less stuff, depending on your taste. But all these different bases just to get to sex. You know, I was never interested in sex as a kid. I never, ever, ever, ever looked at someone and thought, I want to have sex with you. And I think that's a really, really key to asexuality. Whether you're at school, college, university, wherever you are in life, if you never, ever, ever looked at anyone and thought, I want sex with you, then you are asexual because you don't experience that sexual attraction. Does that make sense? Like a sexual attraction is kind of what mostly defines asexuals. For someone who isn't sexually attracted, which is asexuals, we don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse. Like, it doesn't happen. And so I always remember looking back in school that I never thought that way. I remember some guy I really thought I loved for about 2 years or more. I used to send him anonymous Valentine's cards and stuff like that. So I was always like really huge into romantic stuff. But like, you know what I mean? A lot of the girls, they were all into like sex and getting off more type stuff, and they used to like try and make me jealous by always liking the guy that I liked, but it wasn't very nice that. But I was only interested in romantically, do you know what I mean? I wasn't interested in anything else. And so I think that that's a really important point. You know, I come across a lot of asexuals when I talk to them online in forums and stuff like that. And a lot of them report that they just don't get the thing when they're young. They, people say, I want to jump that person's bones, or I want to, excuse my language, fuck that person. And to us, it's kind of like an alien language. It's like all these people around us are talking a language that we don't understand. And that's a very prominent sign that you're asexual. If people talk about all this sex stuff, people talk about all this getting off with each other as in a means to an end of sex, we kind of just don't really get it. And like when people are making such a big deal about sex, it's not really something we can relate to. And all this, like I can think a guy's hot, like aesthetically, I can be really attracted to him. And maybe like if I'm kissing him, I think this is hot, the situation is hot because it's exciting, even though I'm asexual. But I don't look at a guy and think you're hot, I want to have sex with you. Do you see what I mean? It's not that type of thing. And I told you recently, I've been in some sexual dating groups because I haven't been able to find the right guy for me yet. And so I thought I'd give it a try. And like, if I'm looking in these sexual dating groups, it's hard because obviously I'm very asexual, and it's hard seeing that stuff, but it's interesting. That's all I can say is an interesting experience. And they'll post like pictures with words on, saying something like, oh, like please share with the group which celebrity you'd like to have sex with. And obviously as an asexual person, I'm not interested in having sex with any celebrity. And I suppose that's another thing, people have like celebrities they want to have sex with, whereas if it was an asexual person, they'd more likely have a crush on an asexual celebrity, or they'd more likely want a hugely deep platonic relationship with that person. Or if you're romantic like me, you probably want romance and kissing, cuddling, holding hands without the sex. Do you see what I mean? The mentality is different with asexual. So if, for example, you were dating a sexual person and you were dating an asexual person, the asexual person doesn't think about needing and wanting and desiring the sex. Usually it's not there for them, whereas a sexual person, sex will mean all the world to them in terms of the relationship. It'll be like a focal point of the relationship, will be something that they feel closer to their partner by having the sex. It'll be like an innate desire to them. With an asexual person, even the ones that have sex, it'll be like they can take it or leave it. It's neither here nor there for them. It doesn't affect them a lot of the time. It's it might affect them emotionally and psychologically, but you know what I mean? Physically, it's kind of like some of them are just going through the motions. Like I have had sex in the past and I did feel everything, and it was a fully immersive experience, really. But I would just rather have been doing other stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've got better things to be doing with my time. And I always preferred the kissing. And when my last long-term ex stopped the kissing, and then we were doing the sex part, I was like, oh, but I really just want to kiss. Do you know what I mean? And that's another sign you're asexual. If you love all the kissing and other forms of physical affection, but when it gets to sex, it's kind of like a turn off, kind of like, well, I'm not sure I really want to do that. It's a bit boring. It's not that exciting. Doesn't really do anything for me. I'm just going through the motions. It's just kind of like I'm thinking of other things, like what cakes I'm going to bake, or if you're into baking, I'm not into baking, but I know a lot of asexuals like cakes, don't they, and food and stuff, and what you're going to watch on TV the next day. I don't watch TV either, but I'm just saying examples that other people might think. There's kind of be a lot of stuff going through your mind while you're having sex, because you can get distracted because you're not really so into the moment and into the sex like the other person would be. So this is another sign you're asexual. If you are a person who has sex, but you're thinking kind of like something's missing, it's not quite right, it doesn't really feel right, it might leave you feeling raw, because I was left feeling raw years ago some of the time. It's a bit upsetting. I didn't really understand why. And I know now it's because I'm asexual, but I didn't realise it back then. And so, whereas someone might think I've never thought it's orgasmic. I don't get this whole orgasmic thing. It doesn't compute in my brain. To me, if I squirt some liquid, it's like, well, that's a bit of liquid that's squirted. In practical terms, it's like I don't have this orgasmic experience, or even associate the word orgasmic with sex. It just doesn't enter my head. In terms of kissing, though, I absolutely love kissing. I get very physically excited and even aroused by kissing. I love the kissing in and of itself, but the sex, I can't relate to that in the sense of orgasmic explosive. I'm like, well, no, I get like physically get turned on by other stuff, not that. And I think asexuals can, we can very much, even, if we do get aroused, we can get aroused without anyone particularly being involved, if you know what I mean. So, and we can still, like, lots of asexuals can still have bodily functions, like lots of asexuals still masturbate, for example, but they don't need someone else involved in that, if you understand what I mean. And they don't need the sex. They could pleasure themselves because they're not attracted sexually to anyone, so there's not a need for a third part, well, a second party, should I say, but a third party, if you're playing with yourself, like a third party to get involved with that, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, we kind of are self-sufficient. In other words, we're like awesome human beings, do you know what I mean? That can look after ourselves in pretty much every single way, because we actually don't need to be in a relationship with another person and having sex with them, because don't need to, well, we don't have our needs and fulfillments matched or met by that, usually, in the way that sexuals would. Do you know what I mean? We can run quite sufficiently on our own cogs, if you know what I mean. So I think these type of things are what you need to be thinking of. Like, if you've always viewed sex differently to other people, if you've never really liked it, you've never really been that interested in it, if you've had it but it wasn't that exciting, you weren't that bothered by it, you didn't really understand what people were making all the fuss about, you didn't really think it was this orgasmic experience, then it's highly likely you're asexual, especially if you've got little to absolutely no interest in sex whatsoever. And especially if you've got no interest in sex whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Because most asexuals, the majority, not all of them, are not bothered about sex one way or the other, or they're sex repulsed. There's a few asexuals that don't mind having sex. Some even like it as an activity to do because they find the activity physically stimulating and they love their partners, so they kind of think, why not? But if they were single, they don't have to have it. Do you see what I mean? Whereas people who are sexual, who are single, they'll be craving that. They'll be like, oh, I really want to have sex now, but I haven't got anyone to have it with. Do you know what I mean? And they'll be seeing people in the street that'll think, oh, I really want sex with him, her, or whoever. And they'll be seeing people like walk across your road or library or shopping or gym or wherever, and they'll be looking at their bodies as well in a sexual way. What I really annoys me sometimes is when a guy is talking to me, he starts looking at my boobs and not my face. I'm like, hello, I am here. I do have a brain, do you know what I mean? And so a lot of sexuals, I think they very much focus on the physical body of a woman. I never understood the whole first or second base thing either. Was like a second language. Oh, Luke, yeah. It's very much like a second language to me. I don't get it at all. It's like a second language. I didn't understand it. No one explained to me what I'm like, what the hell is first base? I don't have a clue. I didn't even really know what a 69er was. I think I've only learnt that in this last 12 months because I am doing another book for asexuals called Asexual Guide to Sex. And so some people talk about different sex positions in it, because obviously these asexuals are ones that have had sex in the past, including me. And I didn't understand what a 69 was. I just knew it was at school. It was very, very rude. That's about all I knew. And so I didn't use to talk about that. I didn't mention it because I didn't understand it. And then I came across what position that was when I was doing research for the book and other people's stories I was reading in the book. It's a really good book, by the way. Absolutely awesome book. Best book ever. But I haven't finished writing it yet. I've got interviewed 13 other people for it. So yeah, it's really insightful. It's like an immersive experience, like nothing you've ever read about sex before. Not that I go reading stuff about sex, because I just don't. But yeah, that's another thing. If you don't read, some asexuals, they do look at magazines as porn and stuff, I would assume, because they do actually watch porn. I don't watch porn. I don't read magazines or anything like that. But a lot of asexuals, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't look at porn, or they wouldn't look at magazines and stuff, because they'd have no need to, because they wouldn't be interested in that. I know some asexuals do use porn to masturbate to. I personally have never been interested in porn, never liked the naked body whatsoever. I've always been naked repulsed. I've hated it. I hate sex and I hated nudity for a long time, really. But I guess with my ex, the experience was good with my last long-term ex because he made everything else good. The kissing and the foreplay. I'm just not interested in the sex, but it kind of like I had my things I liked, I guess, and then he had his bit that he liked, and it was okay from that point of view, I guess. But yeah, the other guys were really bad at sex. It's like, why bother? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a difference. I think if asexuals do have sex, it's kind of like either this is boring or what's in it for me, because you know what I mean, unless you really just want to do it to please your partner, it's a bit like, is this it? And a lot of asexuals will think, what's the big deal about it? Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? It just won't like compute. Like in the sexual dating groups I'm in, they talk about sex like all the time. I mean, especially the admins, they're actually more worse than anyone in the entire group. They just post stuff about sex and questions about sex. Like if you could have sex right now, like who would you have it with? Or, like which celebrity, like I've already mentioned, which celebrity do you want to have sex with? And they talk about like stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh my goodness me. And I put in there no one because I'm asexual. They just ignore me now, I think, because they're used to me being like that. Because I just like the first post I went in, I said I'm asexual and told them. Of course, I got a lot of stick for it. But I found 2 asexuals in a sexual dating group. They're neither of them are suitable romantically for me. But one of them's a really nice friend now, so that's good. But they're older, so they're not suitable for an actual relationship. But they're a lovely, lovely person. So, but yeah, I was hoping to find some asexuals there and possibly find someone for a romantic relationship, because I've been on asexual dating sites since 2014, so it's kind of hard. But yeah, that's the difference as well. When you are asexual and you're on dating sites, I have to say, like in 2000 and when was it? 2012. Before I found out I was asexual, because I found out I was asexual in 2014. In 2012, I registered with eHarmony, right? If you don't know what eHarmony is, it's a dating site, traditional dating site for sexuals, basically. And I didn't know I was asexual then. And I registered and signed up and paid for 3 months. And as time was going on, I had my profile, and every person I spoke to, every guy, obviously, because I'm only interested in guys. I'm heteroromantic, not homo. I'm hetero, so I'm only interested in guys romantically, but not sexually. Yeah, everyone I spoke to, they started saying about sex, that they like sex. And I'm into younger guys, if you didn't already know that. And there was this younger guy on there in his 20s, and he was talking. He said, oh yeah, I like you, but I want sex and you don't, so it's going to be no good. And it's then that I really realized that I really don't like sex and everyone else really needs it, if you know what I mean. I kind of knew that people needed it, but I thought I was on a dating site and maybe I'd find someone that didn't like sex, and not everyone would. But I don't even know why I thought that, considering the whole entire population is. But I didn't know I was asexual then, remember? I thought I was heterosexual. I didn't realize that the high arousal levels I have, I mistook for sexual attraction for years. And so I didn't realize at that point I was asexual, because it was nearly 2 years, about 2 years before I found out my discovery in 2014. This was 2012. And so as I was going through it, and then in my profile I kept changing it to eventually I put I don't want sex, and then I got no one talking to me. Just every guy just stopped messaging me, stopped looking at my profile, whatever, and that was it. And then I'm like, oh well, I may as well come off the site now, because it's no good, because I don't want sex and they all do. And so I remember that I thought it had just been deleted automatically because I stopped paying. And then 8 months later, this guy phoned up, and he was so weird on the phone because he got my phone number off there. Because I think I put my phone number in there in the end, thinking if they did keep it up for a bit longer, then people can just ring me. And this guy was so weird. He was going, hello, I saw your profile on eHarmony. And he was worse. He was making out that he didn't like sex. And it was quite clear think he did, you know? And he just spoke like that the whole time. It was really, really weird. And I didn't want to meet him or carry on talking to him. It's really awkward. But I didn't think he was a nasty person. I just thought he was a weird person and the way he was talking. And then he started going out about, oh, I like going out dancing. He started saying some stuff. I'm thinking, well, you don't sound like you don't like sex to me. You sound like you're just telling me what I want to hear. Do you know what I mean? So that was very weird. And that was the end of that. But obviously, you know, that is a huge difference. Like, you kind of know that you don't want sex, you don't need it, you don't like it, you don't have to have it. And yeah, like the world is just completely different to you, and you feel like kind of you're alone and lost, and I'm the only one feeling this way, and is there anyone out there in outer space that feels the same way as me? And you honestly, you just feel like you're the only one. And if you go in sexual dating groups, believe me, you still feel like you're the only one nearly. Do you know what I mean? I can't believe how sex mad the world is, because I don't watch TV anymore, because obviously I don't like nudity. I've said that before on this channel. And obviously I'm into personal and professional development, so I gave TV up a long time ago. But I do like going to the cinema to watch movies, you know? And so I don't watch like nakedness on telly, and I only try to get films that got no sex and nudity in them. And for a lot of asexuals, another sign that someone is asexual is you'll think that the scenes with sex in them and erotic stuff like that is unnecessary to the plot, whereas sexuals will think it's a huge thriller. I'm so glad they've got it in it, and I've got to watch like any films that have got like as many sex scenes as possible. Asexuals will think stuff like, well, that didn't really fit in, it kind of spoilt the plot, it didn't need to go off on that, it was too explicit sexually, it didn't really need that, or the film didn't need that to push the story along. So we'll be more interested in the story, the characters, rather than the sex. Do you understand what I mean? And so that again is a different mindset completely. You know, I read somewhere the other day in one of the groups that the person was saying, you know, does anyone else feel like they just really ruin the storyline by having these sexual scenes that are not necessary? And I'm thinking, yeah, I get that, because a lot of them aren't. Like when I was with my heterosexual ex, like I used to fast forward, if we got a movie out, I just used to want to fast forward those bits, because it's like I'm not interested in them. I don't like them. I don't like seeing another naked woman's body. Why would I? And to me, you don't need that to see the story. And you know, she go, oh, it's part of the story, I can't miss that. I thought, no, you just can't miss your eyes fixated on a woman's naked body, and I hate it. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite old-fashioned like that. I think if a guy's looking at a naked body, he should just be looking at mine, but I don't need to show my naked body to him anyway, because I'm naked, he repels. But if it was anyone's, I'd rather he'd be looking at mine than some other woman's off telly or wherever. I just think it's a bit like cheating, I guess, in my mind, but even though it's kind of not in a way. But, you know, I just like, I prefer to not see any movies with nudity and whatsoever. I just don't like it. I mean, I don't think I've hardly got any films in my collection, my movie collection, that's got any nakedness in them. I don't know if there's one, maybe. But you know what I mean? I don't know if there's any more than one. If there is, I can't remember it. There might be something somewhere, but I don't, you know, I purposely go out of my way to try and find movies that don't have that in. That's why I do no sex movie reviews on this channel sometimes, and I watch those movies. So I think, you know, for a lot of asexuals, we just like things that don't include sex, that don't have sex in them, that aren't linked to sex, that, you know, that aren't honed in on sex. And when people talk about sex, it literally is like, really, what is the big deal? I don't get it, and I still don't really get it. You know, I understand probably in some small way, because I love kissing so much, right? I do get physically aroused by kissing, and I do need kissing in a relationship. I couldn't be without kissing, and that is the only reason why I can really truly relate to sexuals needing something in a relationship physically, because I couldn't be in a relationship without kissing, and I couldn't be in a relationship where someone doesn't publicly show me displays of affection. Like if they just want to hide me away and like only kiss in private, that annoys the heck out of me. I can't be with that person like that, because I'm like, well, that's like hiding me away like some caged animal. I like to be free to kiss when I want. Do you know what I mean? Oh, hi, Harmony Smurf. You're a new subscriber recently, aren't you? Welcome to the community. Lots of love to you as well. It's nice to see you here. There's 4 of us all together at the moment, 5 with me. NB, physics philosopher. I think I'm demisexual now, but I was ace before. Oh, hi, NB. Lots of love to you. This is a channel where I like to spread lots of love. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a really important point, actually. There are instances where people who are asexual could realize later on they are demisexual, and I think you've not got to get upset about that or worry about it, because it can happen to people, you know. And I think it can be a bit disconcerting or a bit awkward for someone if they change like that, because it's who they truly are and didn't realize it, but they can feel like, oh, will I still be accepted in the asexual community? You're very much accepted here, by the way. I actually have a dating group that I run 3 dating groups, and one of them is for people who don't want sex, and one is for those who are demisexual, grey asexual, so might want it at some point. I never understood apps like Tinder or how to use them. Oh, Luke, I don't understand apps like Tinder. I've never used Tinder, to be honest, but I do use ASAP, which is apparently an asexual equivalent of Tinder. So I have been using ASAP for a long time, but again, I haven't found a suitable relationship on there, and there's a lot of scammers on the ASAP. It's worth going on from the sense that you can speak to asexuals all across the globe. But again, you know, I need someone in the UK. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up, by the way. Whoever gave me thumbs up, appreciate that. It's really worth, like if you can find someone in the UK, but a lot of them aren't in the UK, which is no good to me. I can in-person relationship, not an over an internet relationship. Harmony Smurf, never tried dating since my divorce about 10 years ago. Never felt the urge to be in a relationship. Well, that's really good. If you don't find the urge to be in a relationship, Harmony Smurf, you don't need to be. A lot of asexuals, especially on the aromantic side of asexuality, so those who lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction, they don't feel a need to be in a relationship. They don't need to be in a relationship ever. Some of them, they're quite happy on their own forever. They don't feel they're missing out. They don't feel they need a relationship to be completed or to feel whole. And they don't feel that, they need that, And so I think that's important to mention that, actually, because a lot of asexuals are aromantic asexuals, I'm a romantic asexual person, whereas a lot of them are aromantics or aromantics, as many people call them, but I call them aromantics because I'm a romantic person, as in I'm romantic, as in heteromantic. So it's easier for me to say aromantics to separate the two. Personally, I find that a lot easier. So I always refer to them as aromantics. There was a girl at the UK Asexuality conference last year, because I was the speaker of the UK Asexuality conference in London last year, 2018, and there was a speaker on the same panel discussion as me, and she was an aromantic asexual. She lacked romantic and sexual attraction. Her family were really worried about her, not having a partner in the future, feeling alone and lost. And she's like, I'm not like that at all. I've got good friends, including asexual friends, and I don't need a partner. I don't want one, and that gets her more stressed out because people don't understand her. I was aero ace before. I'm still aero now, so I'm aero demi ace. Oh, NB, that's really interesting. Yes, that's very interesting, because I know someone very similar to you then at the moment who I'm talking to. It's very interesting, a female as well. So it's kind of like, I feel like, do I know you somewhere else that I talk to you? But yeah, so this person thought they were aero ace, and now they are actually they don't identify as ace anymore. They thought they were aromantic asexual, but they're aromantic heterosexual, actually, they found out. So they're not out on the asexual spectrum anymore at all. Harmony, I see fellow aces that yearn for a relationship and I sympathize with them. I would consider a long distance relationship just to help them. I'm generally aromantic, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't think a long distance relationship helps a person who wants a relationship if you don't want it. Because the whole point of a person that actually wants to be in a relationship is they want the other person to reciprocate it, not actually just have someone helping them out. Do you understand what I mean? Because I'm a heteromantic, hyperromantic. I want a guy who will equally be into me as I am into him. I want a guy who'll be messaging me and emojiing hearts to me and kisses and wanting to spend time with me, kissing and cuddling and all that stuff, you know. You're not, because you're not the only person I've heard say that. I mean, there's a guy who moderates on this channel sometimes, although usually he's off here now because I can do my own moderation from the desktop. And he is an aromantic asexual person, and he says, oh, you know, he doesn't want a relationship, but you know, he kind of says something like, you know, if you know, I feel that if it really helps someone, but he doesn't want a relationship. And that's the thing, if you're a romantic asexual person, you want someone who's going to reciprocate that because they really want to, and they want to keep all that type of stuff going, you know. Like in a long distance relationship, eventually usually someone has to move to the other person, because otherwise it just remains long distance forever. And most people do not want a long distance forever relationship. One person will have to move to the other. Like, I love my flat, specifically where I live here, so I'd love it if a guy moved to live near me but not with me, because I like living on my own. So a guy living around the corner would be ideal. I still remember how puberty was such a nightmare and the pressures from peers at that age, and I felt so alien compared to everyone else. Yeah, Luke, I can relate to that. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of pressure to have sex from a young age, but I never entered my head. It never. Oh, Harmony Smith is the same as Luke on that. Yeah, it never entered my head. Do you know, like, you guys probably don't know what guys and girls. When I say guys, I refer to everyone, but yeah, every gender's welcome. When I was 15, you probably don't know what happened to me unless you've read my Asexual Perspectives book. If you haven't read that yet, you can get a copy. It's in the link down below. There's other people in the book, not just me. But this guy, when I was 15, he tried to take advantage of me by having sex with me, and I didn't know he was going to do that because I didn't think about sex. I had never had it on my mind. It never ever occurred to me. I got a boyfriend at 15, and obviously I was underage anyway, so I wouldn't think about having sex because the legal age in the UK is 16, and he was 18 at the time, so older than me. And I just didn't think about stuff like that. And he opened this drawer and he showed me this condom, and I was just like, that's nice, because I thought that was a nice thing for him to have, just as an object to have. I never linked that to the fact that he would want sex and use it on me, only he didn't even try to use it on me, but he did try to have sex with me when I didn't want that. I didn't even know he was going to do that. He kind of just tried to do it with me, and I had to physically stop him. So it was quite hard to do that, but I managed to do that, thank God, because I would have been pregnant by now if it was by then, if it was up to him. And the next girlfriend, he got pregnant after that, so I was so glad that I stopped him. But you know, having to try and physically stop someone with what he was actually doing to me and holding my hand and everything down, it was horrible. But I never thought about sex. The condom, I didn't relate to myself. I didn't relate to sex to do with me. Nothing. I just like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to say to that? Why is he showing me that? Luke, I never wanted it personally, but knew people were doing it and felt something was wrong with me. Well, nothing's wrong with you at all. The strategies, the straights, sorry, thought I was gay, said Harmony Smurf, and the gays just thought I was weird. To be fair, I am weird. Laugh out loud. Harmony Smith can relate to that. I'm weird as well, in a nice way. I love being different. I love being different. Like, I don't think anyone thought I was different maybe at school so much. I don't know, they thought I was different, but not from a sexual point of view. They thought I was different as in I was just outcast, really, because I didn't do what they expected me to do or want me to do. I didn't fit in, do you know what I mean? So I think that's quite a big theme in asexuals' childhood. A lot of asexuals, they felt they didn't fit in, they couldn't relate to other people. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's just on a sexual level either. I think it's across the board. I think we're very different in the way we think. We don't think like everyone else does in clusters of stereotypical stuff. Do you know what I mean? Hello, my life. Lots of love to you. My life's a regular on here. My life has a lovely boyfriend who's not asexual, but he really respects really respects them. So that's really good. Yeah. So we're talking about signs you might be asexual today. So it's really nice. We've got loads of asexuals in the chat tonight, because sometimes I get people that aren't asexual in the chat, and it's they all come and pile in on us. But yeah, it's really, really good. So I think it's really important that we do spread the word of asexuality as well, because I think it's very bad for people who are grown up to think that they have to think like other people. Like, I had this two girls hear a live stream I was doing once on this channel, when I could live stream directly on YouTube with under 1,000 subscribers, which I can't do it anymore. And these two girls overheard me talking about asexuality, and they asked me what it was after I finished filming. And they felt so relieved that they didn't have to have sex, and they were only really young teenagers. And they said, we never knew about this. So that's why I think it should be in schools. My life. I passed 8 tests today. Well done, my life. Woo, woo, woo. The universe and God gave me and passed. Thank you. I am on the road to be more and more like the real me. Hi, new friend. Oh yes, my life. This is good. This is good. Speak to the universe. It will help you. And I have a phobia of blood and needles, and so I am really not in. I haven't been in a good way tonight. I haven't been in a good way at all. I was talking to an asexual friend earlier this evening, and they were trying to calm me down a bit because I wasn't in a good way. Oh yeah, so I'm in a QPR and it kind of sucks now. Laugh out loud. Oh, so you're in a QPR, but you are demisexual. Is that right? And so, because you're demisexual, a QPR is quite difficult for you, is it? Is there any romance and physical affection and stuff? Because I personally, because I don't experience any platonic attraction, despite being asexual, I don't experience sexual attraction or platonic attraction. I couldn't do a queer platonic relationship. I don't class myself as queer anyway. My life, a nature tribe in a we chat has welcomed me into the tribe, and they're helping me on the road to healing my soul. This is good. What's a QPR? Oh, a QPR is a queer platonic relationship. And it's often something aromantic asexuals have. So those who lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction. So it's more to do with deep bestest ever friendship, which is great, but there's not much physical stuff and romance in there. Do you know what I mean? It's more like best ever friend, soulmate. I think, for me personally, I want a best ever friend and soulmate and all that type of thing, but I need all the kissing, the cuddling, romance, because I'm romantic. I entered it when I was aero ace, says NB, but I have demisexual attraction now to my partner who's aero aloe now, and I didn't talk about it with them yet. Oh, NB, that's really, really difficult. That is really, really difficult for you. Oh, that's really hard. Because you're going to have to talk to them about it, aren't you? And I guess it's whether you want sex with them or not now, isn't it? Is the other thing, and whether you could live without it or not. Because I run a demisexual dating group, and some people in the group could be without sex forever, and other people they just couldn't, because once that deep emotional bond has been formed, and then they desire that sex, they just can't not have it, if you know what I mean. And the relationship causes a lot of problems. So I guess for you, you've got to have a sit down conversation, haven't you, with them, and really talk about it. And it's hard if you didn't know you were demisexual before, and I think that can happen to lots of asexuals. There's a possibility that anyone, I guess, could end up having sexual attraction and not realize it, because if with a demisexual, in case people didn't know who are listening now, a demisexual can only experience sexual attraction when a deep emotional bond has been formed. Thus, if you've never had the most deep emotional bond of your life before with anyone, then you could end up potentially becoming or being demisexual and not realize it. And I think, it's important that everyone knows that demisexuality, although it might not be considered pure asexual, as in no sexual attraction whatsoever, it's still a valid part of the asexual community, because unless they form that deep emotional connection, which maybe rarely or even, like years until they do, they can't experience sexual attraction, so they are asexual like us, until that deep emotional bond has been formed, and then they're still on the asexual spectrum, but they're also like sexual because they then experience a sexual attraction. Do you know what I mean? But it is still under limited, rare, or specific circumstances because it's usually just with the one person. So I hope things work out in my life as well for NB. There's someone in this book, actually, my Asexual Perspectives book, and they are demisexual. And they say that they don't like to say they're demisexual because they feel shunned by the asexual community sometimes. They feel like, they feel like not accepted, or people get agitated, or concerned if someone, if they admit they're demisexual. But I have had demisexuals come into my asexual meetups before in person. I don't have a problem, because I used to think I was heterosexual for years. I didn't realize arousal was different to sexual attraction, and so I kind of have been closer to heterosexuals in that sense. Do you know what I mean? Because I thought I was one for years. Do you know what I mean? I think it's different when you think you were one and you find out you're not, to actually not being one and knowing you're never not. Do you see what I mean? Because you kind of still are in a lot of the same situations as heterosexuals, and a lot of the same some of the similar thoughts and feelings, but not exactly the same, if you know what I mean. So you can kind of understand it a bit more. But yeah, I hope things work out, MB. I mean, you're gonna just have to explain to them how you feel. I guess it just depends what that means, how it's going to change the relationship. There was one person who came on this channel and their partner had become demisexual, and they didn't want sex though because they just couldn't do it. And I said, well, you need to explain this to the demisexual person and see if they can be without sex or not. And they were so scared, but they did do it. And the demisexual person said they could be without sex because this person was a sex repulsed asexual, and their partner had then changed into a demisexual. And so their partner was like saying, oh, I would like to try sex, it'd be great. And the sex repulsed asexual was just like feeling so upset and like freaking out because they just couldn't bring themselves to do it. And so, for them, it was a case of the demisexual didn't need the sex, but, it might be different for you. You might really feel that you need that. So you'll have to talk to them and see what else you could do, if you could get it around doing any other sexual acts maybe and stuff like that, or if you really need that. And then you might have to reevaluate the situation for yourself and them. But yeah, I'd hope it does work out. I mean, in terms of, like, I personally couldn't do a queer platonic relationship because I'm too romantic, but obviously you were aromantic before, so it's different. Because aromantics, if they're going to have a relationship at all, many don't want one, it's going to be a queer platonic one because they don't need the romance and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's important to note that, there's different signs someone could be asexual because, you might be someone who doesn't experience romantic attraction or sexual attraction. And there's differences between an aromantic asexual person and an aromantic sexual person. And I think that does confuse people because an aromantic person is someone who lacks romantic attraction, but the aromantic person could be asexual or sexual. And people don't really understand that they're two separate things. I didn't. I thought an aromantic person belonged to the asexual community, and that wasn't true. And I got told on someone by Twitter, this is quite a few years ago now, that you do realise that aromantics can be sexual or asexual, and a lot of sexual aromantics get very peed off with asexuals saying they're aromantic because they say, well, not all, just because an asexual says they're aromantic doesn't mean to say that sexuals aren't aromantic too. And aromantic, it isn't just for the asexual community. Do you know what I mean? So so for example, an aromantic sexual person, in my experience, like a heterosexual aromantic, they'll desire the sex, but they won't need the romance at all. Whereas an aromantic asexual person, they won't. So an aromantic sexual person, they won't need the romance at all, but they will desire the sex. An aromantic asexual person won't desire the sex or the romance, need it. Do you know what I mean? Right, my life. I didn't even know anything about it. I used to think everyone was like me. Then I got to 4th grade health class, still thinking people were like me because I never really thought about sex and stuff. Then later found that I am different, and I started realizing it later, accepting it years later, finding the word for it. MB, it's all also long distance and online. Oh, MB, yeah. I mean, it's up to you what you do with a relationship, but personally, I would set a deadline for long distance and online. If the person can't get to me, say within a year, you know what I mean, I can personally, I don't like long distance relationships. I mean, if it's in the same country and you get to see them like once every month or something, it's a bit different. But if it's, do you know what I mean, if you've never met them in person, you know what I mean? How do you even know who they are? I have a lot of foreign guys message me all the time that want long distance relationships and online stuff, and I can't do it. I'm like, no, because a lot of them want visas as well, and they'll get you very emotionally hooked, and it's quite unhealthy. And usually, you know, some long distance relationships can work out, but there's got to be some cut-off point where one person moves to the other person's country, and usually it's within a year. You don't really want to be hanging on more than a year. Do you know what I mean? For someone to move, I always think they should go for a holiday first. They shouldn't be moving just like that. Do you know what I mean? They should get a place of their own as well. So it's up to you, MB, but I wouldn't personally be happy with that if it was all long distance and online. But it's obviously for some aromantic asexuals, they might not mind that, and obviously your demi now. But you know what I mean? Even aromantic asexuals, I think they would like someone there in person, you know, like the queer platonic relationship to like go to another level, as in they met them in person, maybe even share a house with them or something. Do you know what I mean? Or some aromantic share a bed, even though they're not into romance. Harmy Smurf, I had a weird curiosity about health classes. It sort of confused me by making me think I wanted sex when I didn't. Was that because they made it sound good and something like everyone would like to do? Because they do very much sensationalize sex, don't they? That's another thing. The media advertisers, they sensationalize sex so much. Harmy Smurf, never tried a long distance relationship. Yep. My life. P.S. To make sense of my elementary school comment, kids were talking about sex before 4th grade and way after 2. I relate. As for long distance, I've been in those a lot. Oh, right, okay. So yeah, so yeah, because so Harmony Smurfs is saying yes to the reason that he thought about sex was made you thought about wanting sex was literally when you didn't was because they made it sound so good or they sensationalized it. NBs, no, I've never met them and I probably won't be for years. It's in the US though, but recently I feel like I'm a burden. If you want the truth, MB, I would cut the relationship, but that's just me. I wouldn't put up with that. You're worth more than that. If you feel like you're a burden, get rid. Cut the chains, go and find someone decent who deserves you. I don't believe in wasting life. I'll tell it like it is. I'm very blunt on this channel. I don't believe in wasting life. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty and thousands of people out there. It is hard to find an asexual partner, someone who's compatible. I do admit that. But, you know, now you're a demisexual and you might even suit a sexual person more than an asexual person. And, you know, there's loads of people out there. There might be the rare cases where a sexual can live without sex if you don't want sex. My life has a boyfriend that doesn't have, you know, need sex, and their boyfriend isn't asexual. Tell them how you feel. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, NB, if you are feeling like you're a burden, how you feel is very important in a relationship. Like my life said, you can tell them, but I personally would not be doing. I don't know how long you've been in this relationship for. If it's just like a few months, you know, then obviously they're not just going to move like that after a few months, but they could be coming on holiday. A person who really wants to be with you will do whatever it takes to come and be with you. If a guy really loves a woman, for example, they will do whatever it takes, move heaven and earth, to move countries to be with her. I knew someone at college and he moved abroad to be with the woman he loved. He just moved. And I know 2 bloggers, both guys, and they've moved around the world to be with their partner. One, he got married. His wife's like, was when he got married, he was 70 or 71, and his wife was 39. So huge age gap. and I've known him for years. He lived in Spain and went all the way to Australia and took his 2 cats with him and married her. And they happily live with their 3 cats now. He's not asexual either, but you would think he is with the way they are. But he's highly sexual. But he's gone to live, you know. And so if a guy who's 70 plus can go and move to Australia and leave, you know, and sell up his Spanish home or whatever and move his cats across the world to be with the love of his life, I'm sure any guy can do it. And this other guy I know, he moved from the UK all the way over to the Philippines to be with his Filipino. He got married to a Filipino wife, and then, you know, so people do move. And if they love someone, they'll move. If they don't, they won't, and that's fine. They can go and move, find someone else. Do you know what I mean? It's only a few months, right? Okay. But if you're feeling that way after a few months, what's the point in staying with them? Are parents in the way or money? If so, I relate to that. I'll be right back. You're gonna get cake. You're gonna get cake. Love it, my life. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you, MB, how you feel. But personally, I wouldn't do a long distance relationship. I don't do them. I tell guys I'm not interested. There was a guy recently, right? I will tell you this. There was a guy, I mentioned him on this channel, from Morocco, right? He came on, he was not asexual. He was in the sexual group. And I usually don't entertain foreign guys, even though I'm attracted to foreign guys and I wanted one for a relationship. I can't, you know, like I won't entertain them abroad anymore usually. And this guy managed to get into my heart somehow, not fully, only a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like he managed to win me over a little bit. That's what I'm trying to say. And he acted like he was really, really trustworthy. And then I mentioned on this channel, I didn't mention his name, but I mentioned on this channel a red flag he did, which was in the first 12 hours of knowing me, he asked me to go and fly to his country to go and visit him. You never do that with a woman unless you're up to no good. Do you know what I mean? You do not ask a woman or anyone to fly out to another country within less than 12 hours of knowing them. I mean, that is just ridiculous. And if he wants to get to know me, he should fly over here. Because he's got a, you know, he works, got a good job. So, you know what I mean? There's no reason for me to go over there in a country I don't know by myself. It's not good. And I've been recently told by another asexual friend that a lot of them try and get you to go over there so that they try and get you to marry them or whatever and keep you over in their country and stuff. It's really bad. So you've got to be really, really careful of stuff like that, you know? I was mainly in QPRs for the affection, to be honest, but my partner doesn't give affection anymore and it made me very depressed. Cut them. NB, I'm being honest, cut them. If they do not give you affection anymore, which is what you were there for in the first place, and it's made you depressed, don't be depressed. You know, like, I'm not into women, right? But I can see from your profile picture, you're very beautiful for a lot of guys, right? You don't need to be with this person. Or I don't know if you're into guys, are you? It's a guy you're interested in because you said you're QPR. So I don't know if they're guy or girl. But lots of people would find you aesthetically good looking, right? You don't need to be with this person. Never be with a person who makes you feel bad about yourself. I didn't. This guy, right? This guy that I'm talking about from Morocco, right? That I called out on my channel that he didn't like, right? And he had, you know, basically tried to turn it on me, make out I was a bad person, which I know I'm not. He shouldn't have been doing stuff like that, you know? It's ridiculous. So he started making me feel bad. Tried to make me feel bad, and then he didn't expect it when I cut him loose. And I'm like, well, no, go and find another woman. And he's like, what? I didn't expect you to say that. I'm like, I thought he did. And I just cut him and, you know, I just said, he goes, oh, well, he started putting conditions in to me. Conditions about what I say on my channel and don't say on my channel. About him, I'm like, no, I never mentioned your name. You came in my chat, mate, not me. You're the one who showed your face to everyone. I didn't even say who you were. And I'm going to call someone. I red flag people, you know, I red flag stuff for you guys. So you know not to get involved with these people. And so I just said, go and find another woman. And we parted on good terms. And I just blocked him. I say good terms, but I say, do you know what I mean? But he was trying to turn it around on me, the whole situation. I don't have stuff like that. It's ridiculous. I'm not putting up with that. So, you know, I just blocked him, deleted him, blocked him after we both said goodbye to each other amicably. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's MLM XLL's relationship. I've had way too many relationships like that. Exactly, my life. Block. Just get rid of the person. Just get rid of the person. Just like that. Bang. out of your life, you can move on. Because, you know, I don't believe it. If the person is a decent person, right, they really care about you, they're really into you, you're not going to get on with them all the time. You're going to have to discuss things in a relationship. You know, you're going to have to, you know, like, but this type of person, they're not making you feel good. They're giving you nothing. They're not giving you any affection anymore. They're making you feel depressed. They're never even saying probably anything about coming over to your country to visit you or see you. And if they are, it's probably all talk and no action. And it's long distance. What's the point? You're not going to get anything from this person. Rip off the Band-Aid. Yeah. Ice him. You just need to like cut the person. It's not worth it. Life is way too short. Do you know what I mean? Life is way too short to be miserable and depressed. If someone's making you depressed, they are not the right person for you. It's just they're not. So no matter what you do, if they're making you feel depressed, it just, yeah, I agree. I wanted to break up. Exactly. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Because they're not worth it. They're not giving you anything. There's no point. A lot of these people in long distance relationships, I don't know who they are and I don't know them, but a lot of them, you'll be very careful with them because a lot of them are just using them for emotional feed. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying everyone's like that because I do know some relationships that started off long distance and then exactly someone's, you know, like moved to the other place. So, and obviously asexuals either meet online or at asexual meetup. That's the two ways that asexuals do usually meet each other. But someone has to move in the end. Do you know what I mean? And there has to be conversations about that. The person should be making plans to move. Do you know what I mean? And the sooner they start making plans, the better. You know, if they're keen on you, they should start to make plans. Do you know what I mean? Or start talking about plans together. Do you know what I mean? If they live in another country. But, you know, even some of these people that do mention it, I've met foreign guys, for example, and they'll talk about it, but there'll be no action. They'll like be, oh, I can't apply yet. I've got to wait for a few months. Or something's gone wrong. Or I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? It's like, no, you're a grown person. Go and help yourself if you really want to be with me. Put alcohol in the wound to cleanse it. It'll hurt, but in the end, you'll heal. Yeah, I'm officially in a bro group. Oh, bless you. Yeah, it might hurt for a little while. It's true. I mean, what you do, you know, when you break up, you need to have your friends around you. Just spend like a few hours talking to friends and stuff. That's what I usually do. And, you know, and moving on, you know, it's better to end it now than go down, you know, when it's only a few months in and end up being months and months later or years. And then you feel more depressed and upset and in pain. Do you know what I mean? There's no point. I don't see any good in this relationship for you. If there was, then I'd say, you know, have a talk and stuff. But it sounds like to me like the person's not interested. If you feel like you're a burden, you feel depressed and you want to break up, just do it. And then, you know, the sooner you do it, the sooner you can get over it. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, get back to being happy, being single for a while before you meet the right person. My life, music, nature, drawing, writing, etc. Yeah, exactly. Fill your cup up. I kind of am confused about everything because we made life plans and like, okay. I mean, you can talk to them, you can say how you feel, but it sounds to me like they're not going to listen anyway from what you said. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes people talk rubbish. I have to tell you that. They'll say about all these plans and they'll say them in the very first beginning because it's all like the honeymoon period where everyone's excited and, oh, I want to do this, that, and the other. And then the reality settles in and you realise sometimes that this person just isn't the right person for you, however much magic or excitement there was in the beginning. So time is the healer, but time is also the teller, you know? The time is a teller. So if it starts off like fireworks between you, really excitable, really want to be together, and then all of a sudden as the time progresses, it fizzles out or dies down or becomes less exciting and less interested, that means they're going away from you. It was just kind of chemistry, because you can have asexual chemistry. people don't understand this. You can have asexual chemistry. It doesn't have to be sexual chemistry. You can have like an asexual chemistry, just like an emotional chemistry, which is like where you're drawn to each other emotionally, or maybe you're drawn to like talking about cuddling with each other or talking about kissing with each other, and you have all that going on. And then as you progress and you find out that haven't got other stuff in common, or you both want different things in the relationship or life plans and goals, if they aren't in alignment, then you'll go further apart, and you'll work out you're not right for each other anyway, despite any physical attraction and stuff like that, or platonic attraction in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So my life been there. My last ex couldn't make up his mind. My current boyfriend called me a sunshine. Oh, my life, I'm so pleased for you. Your current boyfriend is amazing. You're his sunshine. I'm so happy for that for you. That's a really decent guy you've got, and you've got to understand that you've got to kiss a lot of princes before a lot of frogs before you find your prince. That's what I meant. Someone told me this who's not asexual in one of my last jobs. She's like, because she was on her own for a lot of years, was it 9 years? And she's like, oh, but she dated some guys, and she's like, you've got to kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your prince. In other words, you'll have a lot of rubbish people come your way. They're not necessarily rubbish full stop, but they're rubbish for you. Do you know what I mean? And you'll meet a lot of these people in your life before you get to the right one for you, someone who can fulfill your needs and match them and be happy with you. So yeah, oh yeah, I think you found your prince too, my life. I definitely think you found your prince by the sound of it. He sounds like he's really bringing out the good parts in you and really growing you as a person. And that's the thing with a relationship. You should be growing as an individual, but also as two people together as well. That's the type of relationship you want to be aiming for, someone who allows you to develop and grow within yourself, but also within the relationship. And you're always trying to work on the relationship together. If you feel like it's all one-sided and you're putting in all the time, energy and effort and the person's not reciprocating, it's no good. It's just doomed before it even starts, and you need to leave that type of relationship. You can obviously you can say that I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that, and obviously if a person's good, they will listen to you and they will want to make changes or amendments or talk through things and try to come to compromise or try and see if it could work. If not, then you'd have to like just agree to not be together. But but with Envy's particular situation, I think it sounds like this person isn't like anywhere near you. They sound like they're not making you feel good anymore, that you can't really talk to them because they don't really understand you. And if you feel like a burden, that's not good. I mean, I would, if you want to carry on the relationship, then you need to talk to a person, but I don't see a future in it if that person's miles away and they're not making plans with you anymore, and they're and you want to break up. Just go ahead and do it. You plan to give him cake tomorrow, my life. That's really good. That's really good. I often think when you get to a stage in a relationship where you're thinking about breaking up, it usually means you should break up, because why are you even thinking about it? Do you know what I mean? But it depends what else is going on. It might just be fears settling in. But I personally can't be doing a long distance relationship, because a lot of them, they don't actually mean it. They can't actually get over here. A lot of people, like a lot of foreign guys I come across, they haven't got the finances to come across here. They can't get a visa to come across to the UK. They got family and friends where they live. They've got a job or whatever, or they haven't got a job in some cases. They ain't got no finances anyway. I have guys going, oh, I'll come to the UK, and I'm like, marriage. I'm like, no, I don't want to get married, and I don't want to marry for a visa either. And which is what a lot of them are after, sadly. So you got to be really careful with foreigners, because they, especially if you live in the UK, because they really, really like the UK. They're like, because in these sexual dating groups I'm in, there's just so many foreign guys wanting to marry UK women. They're from like loads of different countries, and that's all they're after, just to get a visa. They don't care what age the person is or whatever. They just want a visa. They don't say I want a visa, but they pretty much do. Do you know what I mean? One of the people messaged me going, hi, I'll marry you. It's like, you haven't even read my profile, because I don't want to get married in my profile. Do you know what I mean? But they make out some of them that are really nice. I was disappointed in this Moroccan guy recently, because I really thought he was a decent guy who was very honest, and then he started putting all these conditions on me. Like, he said that, oh, I'll be happy to be with you in public and be seen with you in public and have a relationship like that. But then he's like, oh, well, I don't want people knowing my name or where I live or my job or anything about me. And I'm like, hang on a minute, then how could I have a relationship with you? Because, you know, like on Facebook, I expect if a guy's in a relationship with me to put, I'm in a relationship with Sandra on Facebook, not keep me secret. Do you know what I mean? My life. My boyfriend loves gardening and my mum does too. So I think they'll hit it off great. Annie's polite too. I think your mum will love your boyfriend, my life. Because she doesn't know that you're asexual and she'll think that you've got a normal relationship. Little does she know. Do you know what I mean? So I think your boyfriend will get on with your mum too. And if you know, I hope so, because you never know how mums are. Some mums can get a bit jealous, can't they? But I think I think your boyfriend should get on with your mum. And that if there's anything that doesn't go right with that, it's probably because your mum's going to be a bit funny with anyone you have. But hopefully, your mum will love your boyfriend, especially if your boyfriend helps your mum out with you as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, your mum sounds like the type of mum that needs a bit of help, if you know what I mean, like someone to be helping them, if you know what I mean, to make them feel important. That's the impression I get. A partner should be responsible, respectful, and understanding. Exactly, my life. A partner should be. Oh, more amazing news, by the way. Oh, my life's got so much amazing news. Come on, let's celebrate it. I love asexual news. It's really good. What is your more amazing news? I love hearing all your partners. See, my life is a very good example of a good partnership. Harmony, Smurf. Used to enjoy gardening, but I moved and no longer have a yard. I don't have a garden either, but I don't like gardening, so I'm lucky. My life. Mum plans to give me the house once I'm older, later after graduation. Oh, wow. What is she doing then? Where's she moving to? Wow, that is incredible. Where's she moving to, though? And are there any conditions with that, my life? Just be careful. Make sure there are no conditions that doesn't fit in with your life, because sometimes people can use conditions to control you. So either renting her room in the house or moving with grandma. Oh, that's really good then. Harmony Smurf, I enjoy not having to mow the yard though. That's good. My life. Me. Yeah. So that's good, my life. I'm really, really happy for you. Really, really, really happy for you. That is amazing. Your mum's going to do that for you. Really good. And maybe your boyfriend will be able to live with you as well. Happily ever after. So good. See, dreams can come true. And I believe you can get really healthy romantic relationships that are in part like the movies. You know, like people are like, oh, you can't have a relationship like the movies. I think you can somewhat have it. I don't think totally, no, but I think you can have some parts of the romantic side. For example, my life, can't wait to get her room. It's bigger. Oh, wow. Wow, that'll be nice. That'll be so lovely. I'm really pleased for you. Congratulations to my life. 3 cheers for my life. Woo, 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 woo. It's really good. It's really, really good. Yeah, really, really good. And I totally agree that it should be very responsible, respectful, and understanding relationship if it's good. Oh, thanks to whoever gave me the thumbs up. Really love you and appreciate you. The house will need some redecorating. Yeah, I mean that's good though, isn't it? Because you like to put your own stamp on things. I think that's very important. You're already planning. Oh wow, it's really good. It's nice that your mum thinks you're responsible and can take good care of the house. It means she trusts you. This is a really good thing, my life. Really good thing. Just make sure about any conditions that come with the house. Just be a bit careful of that. Do you know what I mean? But hopefully it will be awesome for you. I'm really proud and pleased for you. Yeah, really proud and pleased. Just make sure if there's any conditions, just be careful. Like, make sure you can have a boyfriend there in the future. Do you know what I mean? So just be a bit aware of that, because some people can put conditions on things. You can have this if this happens. Do you know what I mean? You don't want that type of thing. So yeah, just to make sure about that. But yeah, It's been really good chatting to you all, actually. We've been going for over an hour now. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to talk about before we disappear for the night? So, because I've had an excellent chat with all of you, but I think maybe you want to get some sleep. Hugs. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff we did talk about, especially at the beginning of this video. I think I'll give a quick recap before I go. And this is, like signs that you're asexual, would be like things when you, oh, thanks, Luke. Lots of love to you. Signs that that you might be asexual, going to a quick recap as if you were like at school or college, university, or when you were younger basically, and everyone around you was talking about sex or getting to different bases like first base, second base, third base, fourth base, and you're like, what's that? Is that baseball? That could be quite cool, baseball, but I don't know what this other stuff is they're talking about. Do you know what I mean? And so where everyone's talking about sex and stuff, and also you can feel like you're an alien, like they're talking a foreign language to you. And obviously attitude, thoughts and feelings towards sex can be very, very different. Like you're like, well, I don't want it, I don't need it, or don't like it, or don't have to have it. What's the big deal about it? I don't think it's orgasmic. And when if you actually have sex, it can be like, yeah, and what is the big deal? You just kind of don't get it, and you don't really have the thoughts and feelings like, I want to jump your bones, or look at someone going, oh, I really want sex with you. And if you do have sex, it's kind of like, okay, I'm doing this physically, but my brain might be somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? And, the need, urge or want for partner sexual intercourse just isn't there. You don't look at a person and think, I really want sex with them. You just like, doesn't really enter your head. And when people are talking about sex, you don't relate it to you at all. Like if someone, even if a partner or boyfriend was talking about it, you might not relate it to you. It's like something that's happening around you, but you're not actually part of or included in or want to know about. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes the adverts, they don't work on you. The adverts and sexually half clad women or men with big pecs or abs or whatever, which do absolutely nothing for me, because they're all the sexual poses, they don't actually make you want to have sex with them. It just doesn't work on you. These are all like signs that you might be asexual if you didn't know. And particularly is when you don't feel the need, urge, want for sex. That's the biggest indicator that you are asexual, because you don't experience the sexual attraction, so you don't have that innate need, desire, or want. There's none of that like central core thing to your being where you've got to have it. It's like, well, either you can take it or leave it, or you don't want it at all, or you're quite repulsed by it, and the idea of sex just repulses you and turns you off. Luke, love the live stream, thank you. My life, God truly does let everything fall into place. If he knows you need something, he'll make it happen. I agree, my life. The right person will turn up at the right time, just like that. Love is love. Be yourself and be proud. This is true, my life. Self-love is the very, 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 very most important thing in the entire world, planet, and universe. Luke Westwood, shampoo, sexy adverts, laugh out loud. Oh yeah, like the guys, I think, isn't it? They wash their hair like this and they have it all trailing down their body, and you're like, what shampoo make are they using? Do I like it? Does it smell nice? Do I want it? Not the actual person in the advert. Do you know what I mean? I think like that is the thing, isn't it? When people like, and another thing is Netflix and chill. I don't watch Netflix, but Netflix and chill to an asexual person really does mean Netflix and chill. Do you know what I mean? And so that's what it means to an asexual, Netflix and chill. Whereas Netflix and chill, sorry. Whereas to a sexual person, Netflix and chill means come round my place, watch a bit of Netflix and have sex. Amelia Ace's channel has some good videos too. I've seen some of Amelia Ace's, but she doesn't do live streams, I don't believe, like I do. I mean, I live stream every night. So yes, I love movie night. Yeah, I mean, I don't watch Netflix, but I do go to the cinema and watch a lot of movies. If I can, like superhero movies, kids movies, because I do a lot of other work all the time, like vlogging on here with you guys every day. and stuff like that. So yes, I do love movies, but I have other things to be doing as well. So I purposely love going to the cinema. I love the whole cinema experience. I think it's very magical, very wonderful, very romantic as well, even with myself. So I really love that. It's really, really good. But I do think, going back to adverts, a lot of those adverts don't work on us. And a lot of TV programs and films were like, the sex scenes are really not necessary to us. Whereas a lot of sexuals, they would think they are necessary and they'd want more of them. You know, they'd like more sex scenes. They'd crave it. They'd really, 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 really like it, you know? Anyway, I think that's given some good indication of if you're asexual or not. If you are watching this video right now and you haven't already given it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate the thumbs up. I would absolutely really love it. If you think any friends or anyone you know might benefit from this video, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure the bell icon is hit so you get notified every time I go live. Right now, post a new video. I'm gonna text my boyfriend a bit before 9 p.m. hits. Oh yes, I'm going now anyway, my life. So thank you so much for joining me. I've had lots and lots of wonderful people on this chat tonight. Thank you so much to my life. Thank you so much to Luke, and thank you so much to Tommy Smurf. I know I'm just gonna see. I know there was a Demi Ace person. Oh, Envy, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, love the stream. Oh, thanks, Rap. Thank you. I know you've been in the stream before, so thank you so much. Lots of love to everyone who's tuned in tonight and taken part in the chat. I really appreciate you being here. I will have another video for Asexual Awareness Week. I was going to say tomorrow, but it'll be later today now, provided I'm well, because I'm having a blood test, which I hate, and I usually pass out from them. So provided I'm all in one piece and not completely laid up on the bed or something, like in Cloud Cuckoo Land, then I will be back with the stream. So anyway, I love you lots. Take care, everyone. Until next time, brace your quality and each other's, and I'll see you on the next video or live stream. Take care. Lots of love to all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for getting involved in the chat. Lots of love. Bye. Bye, Harmony Smurf. Right on. Happy to meet you all. Oh, that's lovely. Bye.